Hi, welcome to ComeonyespursTV, where we talk about everything Spurs. Today we are going to look at Harry Kane. Harry Kane, record goal scorer. Is he staying or is he leaving? Join me on the other side when I speak to Chuma as we look at Harry Kane's career. Is this the end or a new start? We look forward to seeing you on the other side. In the meantime, come on, you Spurs. Welcome back, welcome back. This is Come On You Spurs TV, where we talk about everything Spurs. Today we are looking at Harry Kane. Harry Kane, record goes. I love Harry Kane, honestly. Let me put that out there for starters. So I'm a Kane lover, and I want him to stay, regardless of whatever this comes to. I know this is like putting this out there. So we'll look at all of the pros and the cons and all that, But yes, this is what this whole episode is about. With me, I've got Chuma. Before Chuma comes on, I just want to say to you, if this is your first time here, please subscribe to the click on the subscribe button, like and share. We really welcome, and all of you who are liking, watching this, we thank you so much for your support. Please continue to do the so. Yeah, thank you, Chuma. Welcome. How are you?
Oh yeah. I'm abundantly blessed. In the era of how you have the BC AD in the year of our Lord in the era of Harry Kane. That's what we'll probably call this one. Era of Harry Kane, and yeah, it's been an amazing journey with Harry Kane. And what can I say? 280 goals for Tottenham, League and Cup, top scorer in Tottenham's history, 213 Premier League goals and counting, up to Alan Shearer's 260, on the road to Alan Shearer's 260. Who would have thought that possible in the Premier League? And he's done it. He's literally done it in a decade or less. And you're looking at it. He's a phenomenal striker. He's what we went from is Kane able, where they said he was a one season wonder, is Kane able, to the Hurricane, to Harry, please don't leave. It's amazing, from being doubted to becoming the truth, to now being please don't leave us, our savior. It's such a huge career arc for one person.
It's a remarkable story, however you cut it, because for me, Harry Kane is the killer striker. He can score with both feet, head. He's got everything. He's got passes. He's got such variety to his game. He's not like the fox in the box share type person who only scores in the box or near six box type. He's got every type of goal, long range, outside the box, inside the box, header, you name it. And he can also create as well. He and Son have had the best partnership in Premiership history, and that is no mean feat. A lot of people forget that. So, and you hear all of these rumors or these stories, and for me, the reason we're having this debate in the first place is because I personally am sick and tired of all this. Kane must go to further his career. Says who? According to who? And you find all these press hacks who come up with this, what I call utter tosh, about Harry Kane's future being determined by the number of trophies that he's won. I'm thinking to myself, really? All of the accolades that he's built up over time. How many players in England have won a World Cup? Does that make him less of an English star, or because he doesn't win the World Cup, does it make him less? How many countries have won the World Cup? How many teams have won in the Premier League? If you want to count it that way, how many teams have actually won trophies in the Premier League? And it's not like we don't have as a club a history of winning. Things haven't just happened, and I actually strongly believe that it will happen if he stays. You know, so and uh, for me, I think the press have kept pushing this no trophy agenda or this no trophy narrative to sort of make him sort of leave Spurs or abandon Spurs, because I just think we as Tottenham fans or the club need to adopt a siege mentality of us against them. You know, keep Kane and let him stay and win the trophies with him. But we'll come to that in a minute. But that's. I'll just sort of let out my own little rant there. Sorry.
You have to. You have to. You have to. You have
You
to.
know. So what do you reckon? Sorry.
Well, you know, it's very hard to debate with people that talk from the side of their necks, because I think a lot of the media, not all of them, a lot of them are quite hypocritical and two-faced, because they will turn around and these same guys will now talk about loyalty in football. There's no loyalty in football. Why is there no loyalty in football? But then you talk about Harry Kane should leave. So are you down for loyalty in football, or are you pressing for Harry Kane to leave? Which of the two is it? Because they come up with all these things and they scream, oh yeah, you know, footballers are only after a paycheck. They're only after this. Well, that's when you're arguing about paychecks. But then you have the trophy narrative, and the trophy narrative is it's a very interesting thing, because on one side you have people who have won trophies that they didn't contribute one thing to the champion, but they have it. They have tons of medals, and these are the ones. Some of them are even the ones in the media talking about Kane, and I'm saying to myself, in 20 years' time, I wouldn't know who you were, but I would still know who Harry Kane is. One of them is a guy who I enjoy him and I don't enjoy him at the same time, and that's Michael Richards. I like Michael Richards. I like the energy he comes with, but sometimes I look at him and I think, a bit too much for me. But that's beside the point. Michael Richards was talking about how Harry Kane needed, and I'm like, if we go to corners in Africa, nobody knows who Michael Richards is. They know who Harry Kane is. Yet this is the same Harry Kane that has not won a trophy. Why? Because regardless of a trophy, his accomplishments as a striker doing his job is world recognized. He is world class. World class to me supersedes trophies. It is nice if it's garnished with trophies, you know, because even when you do the trophy thing, then they now say, what trophy did you win? Oh, you won FA Cup. It means nothing. Oh, you won League Cup. What does
Absolutely.
League
You
Cup
know.
mean? You know what I mean? So it just turns into this thing where it's like you're literally just like they keep shifting the goalposts, you know? They keep shifting the goalposts and trying to negate. He's just played a season, Harry Kane. He's just played a season where he scored 30 something odd goals, 31 goals, was it? And in any other season, he would have won the Golden Boots, hands down, except Man City playing the type of football that Tottenham are moving towards now, have this alien of a striker that just scored 36 goals. You know, without the alien, they should have just kept a category for him. Harry Kane was the best striker in the league because he was playing with less chances created, less opportunities made by anybody else for him. He was making his own chances. He was, you're looking at this guy, and he was feeding people right, left, and center. He was involved. He was dropping deep, and he still scored 31 league goals. He's a phenomenal guy, and also another thing is the humility of the man as well. He's ambitious. We all know he wants to win, but we also know in his heart he wants to win with Tottenham, possibly even to prove a point that I have won with this club. I didn't just leave them. I achieved with them. And somewhere it's played a part in why he's never been mercenary enough to want to leave, apart from the season where he was supposed to go to Man City. And I personally believe he really did believe he had a gentleman's agreement. And it took him a while to settle, but he came back and said, okay, let me do my job. And he did his job. And he's come back in, but it's always the external. He's never come out to agitate to move. You would hear rumors, you would hear statements from agents and all, but you've never heard the man in a press conference say, I want to leave this club.
Well,
And
some
in that
people
case,
argue
you could
that
trust the man.
you'd never hear most players talk about wanting to leave, except when things actually break down to a point,
Yeah.
when the relationship actually sort of totally collapses, and like almost like well, I guess the only recent one in history, if you like, might be what's the word, Ericsson to some extent, but apart from that, I think most people have kind of kept their discussions about leaving to the chest, close to the chest. But however, you still get with Harry, you have this utmost respect that he has for the club, in the way he conducts himself, in the way he carries out his business, and the way that he actually communicates either through his agents or whatever. You don't really get the same negative type, I'm leaving type, what might call PR spin that people tend to sort of drop with those journalists, to sort of promote an agenda of theirs, Now, for me, some people say, "Oh, is Kane a one club man?" I actually think he is, and I think you have a lot of pressure, if you like, from the media who have this agenda that, Harry Kane must win a title, must win a trophy, or whatever that looks like. Of course, he wants to win. Of course, he hopes that winning will come and And you mentioned something about recognition, and it's always relative, isn't it? Who would remember Calvin Phillips? I'm no disrespect to Calvin Phillips here. I'm sorry, he won a trophy with Man City. He was playing for
He won
Leeds.
he won the
He
treble.
won the treble with Man City. Now, but would you remember him in years to come? Absolutely not. So does that make him less of a player or more of a player than Harry Kane because he won a treble? Of course not. So sometimes some people have to sort of really, really temper this agenda about, you have to do something to be recognized, to sort of be in among the greats. Fair enough. I'm fine. You have, but ultimately, football is a team game. It's not a one man game. So you find that the vast majority of people who have won things in quotes, right, have played in what I call teams that are at the top of the game in most cases, right? You got the Man U's, the Liverpools, and the Chelseas of this world who have put in plenty of money. We've never really been in that position until sort of build this stadium whereby sort of building a foundation to give us that sort of next level type what's the word, achievements, capabilities. And at the end of the day, like I said, even if it's a team sport, you still have to do what you need to get done on the pitch to achieve the results. We've come close several times with Harry being part of the team. We've got 2 League Cup finals. He's been in a Champions League final, but he's played in those matches, but he hasn't scored. Now, the best that we can do as a team is to put you there. If you like, you've got to take responsibilities to act on the day and deliver. Unfortunately, it hasn't happened for him for whatever reason. And it's not for lack of trying, and it's not for lack of ambition of the club either. I think so. When people push that narrative and agenda, there needs to be a lot less mischievous in my view. I think they're being mischievous. Does it lack ambition? Or is it by not moving to another club? Or by doing his best for Spurs, whatever that may look like. What do you think? Does it lack ambition?
You made a very good point. He's literally been in at least. So I go from semi-finals. I don't even go by finals. Harry Kane has been in about 5 or 6 semi-finals, 2 League Cup, 2 or 3 FA Cup semi-finals, 1 League Cup final, and then the Champions League final. So that's like 6 semi-finals of competitions that Tottenham could have won. Once you get to a semi-final, for me, you are now in pole position to get to a final and win. That's my opinion. Semi-final for me is where you need to get to in a cup competition for me to know you're serious. And Tottenham, in the period, especially the golden period of Mauricio Pochettino, as much as they said Pochettino didn't put a lot of emphasis on cups because he wanted to be top 4, he wants Champions League, he wanted to win the league or win Champions League. Pochettino's tactics and those players in peak condition, these boys were young. They were 23, 24, 25. They got there. Now, this has nothing to do with Daniel Levy. It has nothing to do with ENIC, the organization. The players got to a position on the pitch, and Harry Kane did not score. Christian Eriksen did not provide. Dele Ali did not score. Heung-min Son did not score or provide. So the failing comes on the very same players that people are agitating should leave Spurs to go and win somewhere else. And that's where the narrative loses me. So wait, they got into position to win, they didn't win, but they should go somewhere else and win because we don't win. When they're supposed to be the ones to bring the winning to us. And that's where it just loses me. And I feel, like it makes no sense that the greatest players we've ever had in our last 10, 15 years, I crank them out. Robbie Keane, Jermaine Defoe, Berbatov, and all. I'd seen all these news reports. Oh, Berbatov should go to. Berbatov, to me, I feel is disgraceful that a player like you could not lift Spurs to win. And not that you had scrub, you had Michael Carrick. No, sorry, you're still mute.
Won a League Cup with us, apparently.
Oh yeah. No. He want but what I mean is elevate us to the point where he says, "I want to win league titles." Berbatov was league titles and Champions Leagues, and I'm like, bro, that's what you're meant to do. That's what you're supposed. And once you're in position, the failing is down to you. I'm sorry. I adore Harry Kane. I think he's the reason I love Harry Kane is I think Harry Kane, and we talked about it in a previous show about Ange Postecoglu. I like people that work. Harry Kane, even when he played for the juniors, he was racking up goals in the juniors. He went out on loan and he misfired. He couldn't really score for Leicester, Millwall, and Norwich. He wasn't that good. He came back and Tim Sherwood played him, and Tim Sherwood, all due respect, has been dining out on the fact that I played him. Daniel Levy wanted me to sell him and all that stuff. But Tim Sherwood did not make Harry Kane. Mauricio Pochettino did.
Absolutely.
Let's as Spurs fans, you have to come out. Yes, Tim Sherwood kept him and played him, but he tells you, Mauricio Pochettino told him he was fat in preseason 2014-15. I was here for that. Told him you're overweight. If you can lose weight, if you can adapt yourself to my method, you'll be a good player. And Harry Kane, to his utter credit, he completely hatched down, went to work on his body, went to work on his skills, and Harry Kane has worked his way to becoming arguably one of the best strikers in the last 10 years in Europe, if not the world. But then now they come and push this narrative of, oh, he needs to go, he needs to leave. I was like, no, you need to lead us to a promised land, and then you can go. We will not begrudge him if he says, but he has never come out to say. It's always hearsay. It's always his agent is pushing. Bayern Munich have come. Okay, now if we talk about the prospective buyers now, it came down to Manchester United, Man City, Bayern Munich. These are the three we know have interest in Harry Kane. Two of those will not deal with Daniel Levy in any way, shape, or form because, as we know from our dear Daniel Levy, he does not suffer fools in negotiation, especially with British clubs, because he feels his club should be on their level. If I'm now going to sell my prize assets to you, you must really pay for him. And I think that's fair. And then if you're going to go out into Europe, it will probably be less. So now we're hearing, I heard a rumor yesterday of Bayern Munich are going to up their bid to the £100 million mark this week. I heard that rumor, and that might be accepted. But it's what we said about Ange Postecoglu in the previous show. The words he said to Maddison, which is, if you stay, you'll see a great Tottenham. If you leave, you'll still see. And truth be told, the two players he leaves behind, if he leaves, in Heung-min Son and Richarlison, if you really wanted to be ultra critical, they fit Ange Postecoglu's model of a striker more than Harry Kane does. So, and there's a shadow of Harry Kane where I have felt this in my heart, that when one player gets too big, there's this thing about the pursuit of excellence that a mentor of mine said. He said to me, the minute you become so excellent in your place of employment, you have to get out, because what happens is you now stagnate and become comfortable. The minute everybody's turning to you and saying, Chuma, we need this. Chuma, it's only you. You need to get out of that room. You need to come back to a room where you have to work for excellence. So it's gotten to that point where all the other players that we know are good players, we don't see them play well because they're playing in a Harry Kane team. You know, there's that slight jibe from Pep. It really did. Then we weren't the Harry Kane team, but we became the Harry Kane team. Where if the man is not playing and scoring, Tottenham are in trouble. People said we would have gotten relegated.
Now that's a very very interesting point, because it then sort of takes us to that next question. So what next for Harry Kane? Will it fit in under Postecoglu? With that this pressing harrying style that Postecoglu has, right? But with people like Madison in now, right? Is that progress from a building a team perspective with it, for having Vicario in and all of the other targets that we're looking at bringing in? If you listen to all of the rumors, we're looking at Tapsoba, some Dutch defender, Van Ven,
Yeah.
and potentially Tosin. Adarabioyo, the Nigerian, well, he's English, but hey, he's Nigerian born, but hey, young man who's also, and then there's also this rumor that we're looking at Palinha, with this potential club record signing, if that rumor proves to be true, and we're also looking at Javi Ban. So there's a lot of rumor in the background as to how Pochettino will set up. And all of them look really, really positive, But I mean, of course, we'll look at all of the transfer things in another episode, But for now, I'm asking myself, will there be really more of a statement of intent to remain, or does it just want to go away? Because if you think about it in practical terms, City are not going after him, right? Man U don't have the money to sort of pay what we require for him. Mm-hmm. So it's really, okay, if Bayern get up to that 100 million mark, maybe we might look at it. But how does that stack up with his desire to match or exceed Alan Shearer's record? You see what I'm saying? So, and then of course, I mean, I think if we look at it again, everyone talks about how savvy Mr. Levy is, right? I actually think that Levy is playing another mastercard here, or masterstroke here, because he's not pressuring him into a new contract. He's just leaving things as they are, right? And we also said this, right? Tottenham are no longer a selling club. In the past, we had someone like Harry Kane, would have sold him ages ago to the highest bidder, But after we sold Gareth Bale, have we ever sold any of our top name players? No, because we're now building a club whereby we don't sell our top price assets. And that's not a coincidence. It's a deliberate policy, and I welcome that. I actually welcome that. And I mean, I guess what you said about potentially him being the most most brilliant player in the room, and everyone looks up to him. He probably needs to look at improvement. But there is that, right? However, I guess with all of the, we want to see what Pochettino brings to the club, and then what the board also supports him with in terms of players around him, and hopefully we'll build a much more resilient squad and back to our winning way. I'm really really hopeful, But in terms of Harry Kane staying, from my perspective, Harry, please don't go.
So I always, like you guys say, I love football history, and I remember someone said to me that one of the changes you've observed with Harry Kane under the last three managers, that's Jose Mourinho. It started with Pochettino. So if you remember when Pochettino first started, we were all out press. Everything that you see these guys doing, where 8 seconds you get the ball. Remember that. It's the press started with Harry Kane, and then Dele Alli and Eriksen next, and it was just wave after wave from the front. But then by 2018-2019 season, Harry Kane had suffered two very strong ankle injuries. In fact, that was always our fear of him and he returned back very quickly. But slowly you felt Harry Kane's speed. Harry Kane was never the fastest guy, but his speed somehow decreased even more. And then Tottenham and that was the change that happened in Tottenham. Pochettino stopped high pressing. he now moved the press a bit back into midfield, and we weren't high press. We were more, we'll collect the ball and sort of counter press, but high up enough, but not as high as it was in the first season with him. And when you look at that, you're like, okay, Ange Postecoglu is, I press you from the minute you collect the ball from me. If you collect the ball in my 18, I press you there. If you're in your box, and it starts with his strikers. So his strikers and forward players need to be extremely fit. The thing I love about Harry Kane, and I've always admired about him, is I think Harry Kane is a very hard worker. And I think a lot of people think Harry Kane can't press anymore. And I think that's the opposite. I actually think Harry Kane can press very well. But I think he's very intelligent about how he does his things now. And if people are saying, oh, well, you know, if we get rid of him, at least we'll go back to press. No, he can press. Ricky Lambert, when he was playing for Pochettino in Southampton, was 31, 32. Everyone said he couldn't. He pressed. You ask Harry Kane to do a job for you. Harry Kane is a very fit man, and he's someone that does his work well. I think he can press. It's just how you make him press. So if he stays or if he goes, like you say, a lot of people say, well, he's got the leverage. I think, like you said, Daniel Levy is very smart. He said, okay, if you want to buy him domestically, allegedly, you have to bring 150. Nobody's going to pay that for a 29-year-old with a year left on his contract domestically. If you're international, though, it's anything from 80, but 80 not euros, pounds. So it was 80 euros reportedly that Bayern Munich came with, which they said, nah, sorry, we're not taking that. Now, if they come with 100 million pounds, we'll consider it. If Harry considers it himself, right? And I said to myself, but if he says no, I'm going to see out my contract, because there's another game in play where, you know, this is just a bit of conspiracy, football conspiracy, but there's a thing that Real Madrid want to get Erling Haaland. Either Real Madrid or Barcelona, one of the two, will want to get him. Preferably Real Madrid, so he can play with Mbappe and Vinicius. Imagine that front line. So Erling Haaland is not, and Erling Haaland has proven from his movements that he is not a loyalty player. He's not going to stay in your team for 10 years. And deep down inside, we all know that Harry Kane's movement and behavior is how Pep Guardiola likes his strikers to really be. He doesn't like an out-and-out killer. He likes a false nine link-up guy. So the conspiracy is, in one more year, Erling Haaland goes to Real, and Harry Kane is free, where he has done his job as a club legend, and he can move on his own accord for huge amounts of signing on fee because of the fact he's waited this year. But where Daniel Levy is playing his game is, Ange Postecoglu is here. And should Ange Postecoglu do as we suspect he might, and Tottenham perchance improve, and some of the fans out there, rival fans who are watching this, to say this guy is crazy. If Tottenham do a cup double and make top three, Harry Kane now wins the 2 trophies. You know, here we are. He now signs a 5-year deal and says, because I can win with this guy. You know, and that's the key. He has this year now. We say, yeah, whatever happens, he can't negotiate with any foreign clubs till January next year. So that's he can't do the domestic till the end of the year. So anything can happen. And the League Cup final is what, February, March? You don't know what's going to happen. If we win that and we win an FA Cup, we win a cup double, I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm not saying it's not going to happen. The narrative no longer becomes Harry Kane's looking for a cup. He's won the cup now with Tottenham. As Tottenham's captain, by the way, because now with the future movement of Hugo Lloris as we see it out of the club, Harry Kane becomes captain of Tottenham. What do you need to do now? We can now offer you money as well. We can offer you all you need. He doesn't need much. He's a family man. His family live around the corner. He's building a house near Wentworth golf course. What else? You know? So that's the game Levy's playing.
Absolutely. So, I mean, if for me, the end game is, I don't think he's going to leave, right? If he's going to leave at all, probably going to leave on the free transfer at the end of the next season. But let's just see how that plays out. You know, it's been absolutely fantastic having you as always, Chuma. You know, it's always a pleasure. If you agree with us, I would love you to leave your comment in the comment section below and tell us what you think. Will Harry Kane leave or will he stay? You know, it will be great to hear from you guys. Like, subscribe, and share. In the meantime, come on, you Spurs.